good afternoon. Feels like good night, but never mind. My name is Maria Gutierrez. I am VP of Engineering at FreeAgent. At FreeAgent, we build accountancy software for freelancers and small businesses. We're trying to remove the stress out of trying to manage your business finances. And our customers think that we're actually doing a pretty good job at it. Our net promoter score is currently 72, so according to Mark, world class. And it has been consistently in the 70s for the last couple of years. We are based in beautiful Edinburgh, Scotland, and we've recently moved to second floor of our offices as the team continues expanding. But not everybody at FreeAgent works from the office. About a third of the engineering team works full-time from home as well. And working from home for about 2 years is how our founders, Rowan, Ollie, and Ed, started FreeAgent about 10 years ago. They were frustrated with having to share very complex spreadsheets with their accountants and decided to do something about it. 10 years later, the last 10 years have been very kind to both FreeAgent and our founders. I'm going to get in so much trouble one day by showing the previous photos, and I think that day is today because they're all here. So come and talk to me after so that they don't get me. But jokes aside, there's more than 50,000 businesses that depend today on FreeAgent to run their business day to day. And that loyal and growing customer base together with favorable market situation has allowed us to raise more funding so that we can continue investing and trying to achieve our business goals. Like, for example, a couple of years ago, we did a successful crowdfunding, and only last November, we successfully IPO'd in the London Stock Exchange. We have also started some great partnerships, one of them with the Royal Bank of Scotland Group, and they're going to be providing our software to their business customers around the UK and Ireland, I believe. But with all of those opportunities, come great challenges for us as well. And one of the big challenges that we have ahead of ourselves is how do we continue growing the operations of the company? And our goal is to continue giving the best service that we can to our customers and our growing customer base, but also start doing those things that we are envisioning for the future, but ultimately as well, kind of building a sustainable business. Ultimately, we are surrounded by accountants, so that's kind of one of our goals after all. I personally joined FreeAgent almost 2 years ago in January 2016. And I joined to help the team grow the engineering organization. I have been a software engineer for the last 17 years, and it was at Living Social for 5 years before joining FreeAgent that I learned a lot about what it takes to grow very rapidly a successful engineering organization. At the time, Living Social, which is an online marketplace, was one of the fastest growing companies in the US, and it was kind of known to be one of the biggest unicorns about 2012. At peak, we were serving almost 70 million customers, and we had operations globally. We started in the US, and then we moved to other countries. The engineering organization quickly went from 12 engineers to about 200, and we were building systems and services that were able to send about 25 million emails an hour to our customers, or were able to process about $10 million worth of revenue with one of our Starbucks deals in roughly about 8 hours, the bulk of all of them. we move very, very fast, and we build great things, and we build a great engineering culture and great teams. But we also made a lot of mistakes. Ultimately, the business was losing a lot of money, so it's not a happy ending. Things didn't go very well. I don't know if you're familiar with the Living Social story. And as quickly as we had to grow the business, we had to scale it down. But during all that time, I was able, and my team, to learn a lot about what it takes to build a very successful engineering organization quickly. And some of the things that I'm going to show you now are some of the problems that we had to deal with. And those are very similar to the problems that we have to deal today at FreeAgent as we try to grow the engineering organization. And it's probably the same problems that most of your companies will have to deal with once you start growing your business as well. So, for example, in manageable code bases, it feels like the progress is slowing down. There's a lot of technical debt getting on the way. Bugs and exceptions are not promptly fixed. There's problems with communication that end up in a lot of duplication of work. It feels like the competitors are getting ahead. Different kind of acquisitions or sales teams selling things that maybe haven't been built or that we don't know quite yet how they have to get built, put a lot of pressure into the teams. Engineers start complaining that they don't have a career path, they don't know where the business and their careers are going. And hiring has become this crazy kind of vicious circle when you desperately need people, but you just don't have the time to spend hiring them and bringing them on board. Yeah. But those are all actually, if you think about it, really good things, because what it means is that your business is being successful and that you are going places. So what you have to do at that point is to take a stock, identify what your biggest problems are, prioritize those, and identify what is the best way to go about fixing those problems. And probably the biggest lesson that I learned during those years was the importance of focusing on organizational health and the importance of being intentional as a leader. Both at Living Social Engineering and today in the exec team at FreeAgent, we use the Advantage by Patrick Lencioni as a leadership framework. So this is Lencioni's organizational health model. And Lencioni says that you need to start by building a cohesive leadership team. And a cohesive leadership team looks like this. It's a team that is committed to building trust, is committed and open to constructive conflict, and that can commit to decisions even if they don't agree with them initially. And is a team that embraces accountability and focuses on collective results and not personal gain. So this applies to all 8 of the executives at FreeAgent, but for an engineering organization to work really well, you need a special 100% alignment between 3 roles. That is your CPO, your CTO, and your VP of engineering. So Rowan is one of our co-founders and CPO, and his responsibilities are product and design strategy, user research and customer insight, product management, but also release planning and how we communicate with our customers about what we're doing. Oli is our CTO. He's also one of the co-founders, and he is responsible for technical strategy, software architecture, security and risk, technical due diligence, and corporate IT. Myself, as VP of engineering, my responsibilities are around execution. So the product development and delivery, the team organization and structure, hiring strategy and process, personal development, and also performance management of the engineering organization. And that alignment between all 3 of us is represented in a very clear technology and product strategy that we communicate and circulate with everybody in our team so that everybody knows where we're heading and what we're trying to do. And it's important to also create clarity around expected behaviors, engineering and design principles so we can remove some of those conflicts and complaints, key performance performance indicators so that we know if we're doing well in the things that we value, and role expectations so that everybody knows what is expected of them. And when we look at our growth strategy and how we manage engineering, we focus in 3 areas. The technology, so the systems and architecture that make FreeAgent possible, the processes, how we get things done, and the team, the people that make all of this possible. And decisions that we make in each of those areas have a very direct impact in the other ones. And that is why it's so important that all 3 are aligned when we make those decisions. So when we state our technology strategy and make decisions around the systems and the architecture that make FreeAgent possible, we think about the following constraints. We think about security, reliability, scalability, and productivity. So for example, decisions like running a 100% open source stack has repercussions in each of those boxes. So for example, with security, the more popular that you become as a business, the bigger the target you are. So when it comes to security, it's an imperative that we stay compliant, especially with GDPR just around the corner, and that we keep systems up to date, out of vulnerabilities, that access is protected and secured and restricted to only those that need it, and that the sensitive data is encrypted so we don't put our customers' data at risk. And the more your customer base grows and the more they engage with the product, the more they will rely on you. So you'll need to have processes in place to recover very quickly and to proactively address any issues and guarantee the integrity of our customers' data. And what happens if the right opportunity arises, if you have an amazing sales team that suddenly are able to bring 3 times the amount of customers that you currently support? Do you know what will happen if you have 3 times the people using your systems? What are the bottlenecks, and what is going to be the cost of being able to support those customers successfully? And finally, but as important, is how much of your developers' time is wasted because you haven't invested in having a very good development process. And as an organization, an engineering organization grows, all that time will accumulate and actually might be one of the most expensive things that you are wasting effort on. So we have recently invested a lot of time on kind of having our development set up, kind of to be done just in a few minutes, on how we test all our software continuously and how we get an automated pipeline so that we can push code to production frictionless and that it doesn't get in the way of getting the work done. But it's also our responsibility, because there's always going to be gaps in each of those areas. We're not going to have a perfect solution for everything, that we are highlighting the vulnerabilities and the risks to the rest of the executive and the rest of the organization so that we can put in place mitigation plans and we can all agree on what kind of risk are we willing to take or not. So process, believe it or not, processes are there to provide transparency, predictability, quality, and productivity. So if your processes are getting on the way of you getting things done and done promptly, you really need to revisit them, because then they are not doing what they're meant to be there for. And you start by agreeing on your priorities. So how much we spend on addressing risks versus addressing business as usual, supporting our current users, versus new development that will move the business forward. There's always going to be a tension, and you're always going to feel like you don't have enough people to do all those things. That's a debate that we have all the time at FreeAgent, and that is why it's so important that you all understand the constraints of the business, there's alignment, and we can agree on those priorities and the trade-offs that we make. So once the priorities have been identified, how do we get the team to actually deliver on what we're trying to do? So across our engineering organization, we work in 2 weeks sprints. We check in every day, and we do retrospectives at the end of the sprint, kind of to make sure that we know what's working well and what's not working so well. We demo our progress every week with the rest of the company, and we continuously push code to production so that it can get tested by our customers or all of us continuously. So we use agile practices to make sure that we are delivering in a predictable way. We organize ourselves in fairly autonomous teams, and I say fairly because we still require all of our teams that they collaborate constantly with other stakeholders so that we understand the context of the work that we're doing, but also with other engineering teams so that we are not duplicating work and that we are following best practices. And we create that awareness that we need across the teams by being very, very transparent with our work, even work in progress, so that others can comment and they can also provide their insight and help us make it even better. And that might be maybe with pull requests so that we can kind of comment on code in progress or notifications that tells us what's going into production at any one time so everybody knows what's going on, or kind of a specific product specification so that we can contribute to the work that is being done. Every Thursday, at the end of the day, all of the engineering team across all the teams, we get together to discuss best practices and lessons learned. And the more transparent that we are with our work, the less silos and single points of failures that we'll have in our organization. And single points of failure are a huge risk for your company, but they also get on the way of allowing you the flexibility in the organization that you need to make changes when needed. We also get together every Friday at the end of the week, of the day, with the whole of the company. So we can discuss what's going on across the whole business, and we can gain that context that we need to make sure that the work that we're doing is successful. So people, we are about 140 people today at FreeAgent. Of those, about 50 are in the engineering team. One of our 3 guiding principles for the business is our commitment to building a diverse, high-performing, and happy team. And as we work towards building and developing the engineering organization, successfully supporting a healthy and inclusive culture is very much part of our strategy. Diverse teams are proven to be more successful. But engineering teams are not really known by being the most diverse teams. Diversity starts with inclusion. So if you want to start working on your diversity, and I recommend you do it, you need to start by focusing on how inclusive your work, your environment is. And as a leader of an engineering organization, providing clarity around behavioral values and holding everybody accountable, including ourselves, should be one of the top priorities for yourself as a leader if you really want to retain and attract the talent, the top talent that you need to continue building your business. Another great way to retain your team and to kind of attract new talent is by keeping them challenged and creating learning opportunities every single day, whether it is learning from each other or from people external to the company that can bring new insights about the industry. When it comes to growing the team, and at one point you're going to have to start adding people to the team, not just work on making it better, you have to have a very transparent and unbiased and comprehensive hiring process. You need to understand how fast you can hire and what is going to be the impact in your team and whether they are going to be able to deliver their other commitments, because hiring is going to take a lot of your time and the time of your team. So you need to understand how much that's going to be. And you also need to understand what are the alternatives, because sometimes we are not going to find the right candidate that we need at the time that we need it. So you need to know when you might want to bring contractors, and if you bring contractors, for example, or other help, how are you going to integrate them with the team so that when they leave, they don't take away all the knowledge with them. For us, a successful hiring strategy has been not being restricted to hire people just in Edinburgh. And we have, as I was saying earlier on, a third of the engineering team working from home. The opportunities that distributed teams open is one of the big lessons that I learned at Living Social, where a big part of the engineering team, about 60%, were working from home in different parts of the world. And that is especially important for companies not based in one of the technology centers. We are not in one of those in Edinburgh. And as important as having a very comprehensive hiring process is to have a really good process to be able to onboard those people and get them up to speed and align with the values of the business as soon as possible. By providing clarity, you offer the team more autonomy, you offer them clear purpose, and you offer them an opportunity to master their craft. That, together with an inclusive environment where everybody are happy to come to work every day, is the recipe, as Daniel Pink says, in Drive, to create an engaged and resilient team that is really going to help you with the success and the future of your company, no matter what happens. So this allows you to grow the team at the pace that the business needs. So this is the engineering team at FreeAgent growing over the years. And it allows you to continually change things without being very disruptive of the team or the work. This was our organization in 2015. In 2016, when we started to invest in engineering team leadership, and we break out functions further so that we could ramp up hiring. And this is our organization today. It's a much larger organization. We have heads of departments with sub-teams so that we can continue scaling even further. So finally, some parting thoughts. The more engineering leadership and the engineering team as a whole understands the business domain and the business context, they will be, the more prepared they will be to continue evolving their technology or product vision and strategy so that we don't have any surprises and we can really keep on supporting the business at the pace that we need to grow. Thank you very much. That's it.